Svelte, Vue, React, and Angular, now considered evil. Just loop over signal arrays or signal trees with a custom-made signal loop web component. It's only a few lines of code. I'm not entirely serious about the title, relax, but I am not half joking. Listen to the following with a sprinkle of salt, but keep in mind that such a looping component is just a few lines of code. And I do not seek to start flame wars. Don't hate. Learn. Build the next Svelte or React in 100 lines of code or less. I too have once looked at C, Perl, JScript, Java, Swing, PHP, .NET, ActionScript, NetBeans, Eclipse, and Chrome with mad lust in my eyes. Learn and choose wisely, because time really does move pretty quick. I'm just a little programmer who is disappointed with the direction runtimes and big frameworks are taking. Bottom line, your career is important. TypeScript is not JavaScript and may fail like Jscript and CoffeeScript and all the other nonsense. And making a perfectly fine untyped language typed just to make some intelligent pop-ups is a little silly. If you need data types in your program, as the case may be when reading XML attributes, make an object where the key is the property name and the value, the type you need. JSON schema is your friend. Moreover, embrace, extend, and today Enshitificate, and finally Extinguish is still on, as evidenced by the blue screens and the ads in your taskbar. Not to mention the extra mental workload, distraction, issues with casting, dynamic instantiation, and other things. And it is not just injecting TypeScript into places that do not need it. React was never reactive, and JSX is an abomination. E4X got removed, JSX that demands a parser got praise. Come on. Interweaving the mapping of arrays with JSX is pure madness. You deserve to have all the code that you have written around when you are old. Unusual syntax is a huge problem. It will never be portable. And when React fades away because technologies update, you will not be able to transpile it into something that is compatible with more modern technologies. Yes, big blooming communities and ecosystems are precious. I understand that. And the hard work is nothing short of marvelous. But 10 lines of code for subscribing to a signal array inside a loop web component of your own making allows for nesting said loop components. The recursion comes from elements themselves from HTML. On top of everything, web components have a proper life cycle, so you can subscribe and unsubscribe from signals when necessary. As with all templating systems that sit on top of document object model element, there is some quirkiness. When nesting your signal loops, you may need to use a dotted or path notation in the attribute that points to whatever signal you want to reference. Relative paths inside a loop means that the outer loop will assign the signal via property rather than an attribute, so it will be a live object. This does not ask you that you have a tree data structure to hold everything together, but if you did, it would be simpler to keep track of everything. And anyways, it's just nested arrays and signals that may hold signal arrays that again can nest other values. So you're using the loops to dig deeper. The hygiene and optimizations and browser support of larger frameworks is again precious and irreplaceable. But all it takes is 30 lines of code to make a simple signal-sensitive web component. It will do logic, looping, and serve as a component if you state that the template is outside of its body somewhere. So this loop is a Swiss Army knife that behaves differently based on the data type in the signal, and maybe an optional template attribute. Bidirectional data binding is also trivial, probably just a couple of lines of code, as you are already dealing with signals. You would scan your template HTML for a data bind attribute and just set up the binding as needed. I am a really huge fan of Svelte. Its ideas are lovely. But with modern browsers everywhere, you need to have clear reasons that your project really demands to use the big frameworks. Otherwise, the fact that loop web components can be nested and that they have a life cycle which works great with signals, and most importantly, that the signal loop implementation is just a few lines of code, time has come to return to more standard HTML that you can bring with you to the future, and more portable and future-proof code that will be around, at least that you will be able to reliably transpile into some new version of JavaScript. There once was a reason for Angular, React, Vue, and Svelte. But that was ages ago. And those reasons are transforming. They may even be gone. The large framework ecosystems are beautiful and truly a source of wisdom. But with web components and signals, they can now be replaced with just a few lines of code.